Hello, all you coin aficionados out there, and welcome to DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Today, we're going to talk to you about the famous 1962D Lincoln Memorial cents. Now, as many of you know, in 1959, the United States changed from the wheat cents to the Lincoln Memorial cents. So, on the back, instead of the sheer ears of wheat, which was, say, this is a 1944, it says 1 cent. You can see the wheat, they call it the wheat cent because it has these stalks or ears of wheat on this side. They changed in 1959 to the Lincoln Memorial, and this change not only changed some of the makeup of the coins, so it went to from a almost purely copper coin to a bronze coin, which was 95% copper. And when they did that, um, they it changed the hue of the coins a little bit. In other words, the kind of the coloring of the coins. And in 1962, there are some really famously red cents that collectors just love. So those who love the graded Lincoln, those kind of collectors, they call them graded Lincolns because they will go to either PCGS or NGC and actually get graded according to what kind of condition they're in and how red they are. And these particular coins have a almost not quite a bright red, but a very, very reddish copper variety that the collectors love. In fact, in a couple years ago, they went up as high as $4,000 from an MS67 RD or red. So an MS67 means that it's just a beautiful coin. It's in great condition. It'll be essentially not just look unused but unscratched. And there are a number of those varieties out there. So in 2016, one of them sold for about 4,000 plus dollars, 4,400 if you count the fees that you have to pay to the auction sites. They still list them at around 2,000 plus dollars on NGC and PCGS in terms of some of the values. So these could be very valuable coins. What will it look like? Well, it will be bright red. It won't have the wear marks or the scratches of this one. And see, this one, you can see some of the reddish on here, but it's not a bright red. And you can see the wear marks on here. It says, "In God We Trust" at the top, "Liberty behind Lincoln" in 1962D here. When people start magnifying their Lincoln cents, a lot of times they say, well, there must be something wrong with this because the L is really touching the side. No, that kind of has always been there. I'll show you that 1944 again. The 1944, it, pretty much touches or comes close to touching there. So these cents the words get really close to the rim, and sometimes they kind of touch the rim. That will not bring you any real value, even if it is almost touching the rim. It's just not offset enough, even if it does. Another thing about the 1962s is that there's a number of different looks on these, where the 9 and the 6 have different heights, and the 2 is slightly offset. See how this 2 kind of goes at an angle here? It almost bears to the left. It's like it's tipped over. That's pretty standard for these coins, and it was probably something that happened in the minting or stamping process. They got it a little bit offset. Then there's also some varieties on this 1962 where the D is a little bit lower and doesn't quite go up to the 9. And so you might find one with a D that's slightly lower than the 9 so if you drew a line straight across the bottom of the 9, there are some varieties where it doesn't touch the line would not touch the D. Another thing you look at when you look at these Lincoln cents is how finely engraved the back is. So on these ones you can kind of see that there's some bushes here and you can kind of see the steps, but a little bit of wear on the steps. You can see Lincoln Way in the back. You can see kind of the scroll work up here. See how that scroll work right there is kind of worn? The steps are kind of worn here. This urn or um, container here at the bottom of the steps is kind of worn. If you get a good one of these sorry about that, the steps will be perfect lines across. You'll actually be able to see some in the bushes over here. You'll be able to see some of the shrubbery. If we look over, way over to the right, and this is about as magnified as we're going to get here, we see something kind of stuck over there on the end of the shrubberies, and that's an FG. So see that? There's an F there and a G. That's for Frank Gasparo, who engraved the back of this coin. So he was the one who did the memorial cent. The Lincoln, since 1909, the front had been the same design by Victor David Brenner. And we'll see if we can show you his initials. They are often hard to see on these coins, but if we tip it up just right, you'll be able to see that there are some initials right in here. Boy, that's tough to see, isn't it? Right underneath Lincoln, there is a VDB. Well, I'm not even sure we're going to be able to see it in this one. You can see it a little bit right there. Yeah, see right at the top of my pen, there is a V, a D, and a B. That stands for Victor David Brenner, and that's his initials on the bottom of Lincoln, right underneath his his shoulder there. You can see right there the VDB. So the front was always a Victor David Brenner, and the first coin that came out, his initials were very prominent, and that's one that is incredibly collectible. This one is not so collectible. It doesn't have the bright red. It doesn't have any of the specialty conditions on the steps or anything, and it's surely not even going to be graded as a fine, never mind a MS67 plus red. So that's all we have today for the DC Coin World International Coin Channel. If you're collecting the 1962 Ds, it's going to have to be in incredibly good condition to have a value. Even if it is, in general, it's going to be worth about $29 or $30, not $2,000 or $4,000. But if you are a collector who looks for the full red graded Lincolns, and that's all you want in life is to get one of those, sometimes you're willing to spend $1,000 or $2,000 for one. Have a great day from the DC Coin World International Coin Channel.